So welcome to Red Deer Public Library's Travel Memory Program. This time we're very fortunate to have some people that are taking us to Bali because here in Red Deer, it's cold. My name's Priscilla. If you haven't watched one of these before, I'm on staff at Red Deer Public Library, and this is a program that we ran for about 8 years in person, and now we've taken it virtual, and we're lucky to have people that are willing to help us out with this. Particularly people that have been to warm places when we're in the winter time here. It's also nice. So last month we had a mother-daughter trip. Shannon and her daughter Ainsley were kayaking on the west coast of BC, and this time we have another mother-daughter combination, Sage and Kelly, and they got to go to Bali for a month. Just saying that makes me jealous.
It's a long trip.
Yeah. So a little different format this time, where just because of COVID and the scheduling issues, we're recording this in advance and we'll release the YouTube video at the normal time on February 3rd at 2 p.m. So we also will have some questions at the end, but this time they'll be all mine. So lucky me.
All right, so yeah, we went to Bali in 2018. We went from middle of March till about end of April, and yeah, we were gone for a month, and it was the best trip ever.
Awesome trip.
Yeah, I think
good travel partner.
Yeah, we do travel well together. I think that's one of the things too, is when you go on such a long trip, you have to make sure you have a good travel partner. And we will say that we only took carry-on luggage.
We did.
Yeah. And still, even then, with just a backpack, I still took too much. I think I could have probably just taken like 2 pairs of pants and a shirt, and I would have been fine.
We challenged ourselves on that trip.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a picture that I took, just as a little cover photo there. And so on to our next slide. All right. So on our travel there, we went from Edmonton to Seattle, and then Seattle to South Korea in Seoul, and then South Korea to Bali. So these are pictures from the South Korean airport in Seoul, just because I think it's my favorite place I've ever been.
Yeah, these pictures don't do it justice. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah. Like it's huge. And they have like a living forest on the inside. So those are all real trees, real flowers. It's also the most peaceful place I've ever been. It's just very clean, very quiet. There's not like the busy hustle of a regular airport, probably because it is so big. I think everyone just, is quiet and respectful, and it was very relaxing. It was nice to have a layover there.
They also had, so I don't forget to mention, but on our way back, we stopped there too, and we had a longer layover, but the airport offers different tours that you can take. So they put you on a bus, it's free. And unfortunately, we didn't get to do that because the times didn't mesh. But there's so much to do in the airport.
Yeah. They take
the hours pass quickly.
Yeah, they can take you like to downtown Seoul and stuff and see all the sights. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And the next slide. So I don't think the sound will work, but on this one, it's just a video. They had traditional women in garb playing like traditional instruments, and it's a very beautiful sound. I hope it works, but if it doesn't, it's just a nice little video too. And I don't know, the floors, like they're so clean. They just had people, I've never seen a floor that clean before. So just that one. And then, so this is our first place that we stayed once we got to Bali, and our first place we stayed was Denpasar, which is kind of like a big city. And this is our first little place that we stayed at. So a lot of we stayed in Airbnbs mostly. We stayed in about 5 or 6 different Airbnbs throughout our trip. But it's interesting because they are like compounds, family compounds with like big fences, beautiful yards, and a bunch of little different, almost like guest houses, which they build for their son, who then gets married and then brings his family, and then they all live together there, and then they rent them out if they move away or whatnot. So
yeah, I was going to say we did book Airbnbs, and we were really fortunate with all of them.
Yeah.
This is the first one that we actually booked while we were still in Red Deer. because we wanted to ensure that we had somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
But after that, we just didn't really have a schedule. So we decided how long we'd stay at a place and then think, okay, well, maybe it's time to look for a new Airbnb. So that's how we traveled. We booked this first one, and then after that, we felt pretty comfortable just continuing with longer travels. And so not that schedule.
I didn't think I would be okay with doing that because I like to have things, you know, like planned and organized, but it worked out really well. And so just, you know, the foliage, it's very tropical. And one of our first little breakfasts that we had there, some fresh fruit. And
all about the food.
It's all about the food. We have a lot of food pictures. So one of the first places that we went to was some religious temples. They are Balinese Hindu in Bali for the most part. So that's kind of their main religion. And they have like crazy old temples that you can go and visit and little monkeys everywhere. So that was one of our little big monkeys there. And then just on the side there is one of the picture of the view, because it was on a big cliff. And
they do warn you about the monkeys.
They do warn you.
They steal the glasses off your faces.
Yeah, they steal people's shoes, their purses.
True, but don't turn your back on the monkey.
Yeah, yeah, they're quite ferocious.
They're cute.
And we were also there for a religious holiday. It's their day of silence called Nyepi.
We were fortunate.
Yeah, it was very cool.
We did pre-plan.
Yeah, so we knew ahead of time because on this day, so the night before, it's a big celebration, and then at 6 a.m. the next morning till 6 a.m. the morning after, there's no travel. The airports are closed, the ports are closed. You're not supposed to like go anywhere, and it's time for like self-reflection and meditation, and people fast during that too. So yeah, and they have like traditional policemen like strolling the streets, so you're not allowed to be out and about. And then for tourists, it's more so just like, you know, stay in your room, no beaches, not allowed to be on the beach. So we stocked up on snacks, and I think we just stayed in, and I don't even think we had a TV. I think we probably still had jet lag, so we probably slept a lot of it. But so the night before, they spend weeks building these ogos, which are like depictions of, you know, like bad spirits and things. So the night before, they will have like huge parades in the streets, and then at the end of the night they burn some of them to get rid of all the bad energy. And then the next day is the silence.
I think it's a 6-day celebration, so it's one of their largest celebrations on Bali.
Oh yeah, it was a very big deal. I felt very fortunate to be able to be there at the same time. So this was a video of it too, and they had like drums and things going. You can hear it. And then just like lights shining on them, and you can kind of see that
and they're heavy. Like they're on platforms with bamboo that they're carrying. They're like massive.
15 people carrying them. Yeah.
That was exciting.
Yeah, it was very cool to be a part of. Very loud, a lot of yelling and drums and instruments. And so this next set of pictures, this is when we left Denpasar, and then we went to Ubud, which is known as kind of like the yoga town. And that's why you wanted to go.
My yoga on.
My mom loves yoga. So this is one of the first places that we ate at in Ubud, Cafe Angsa. And this was the view out of the back of the restaurant. It was just amazing. And then one of our meals that we had there, don't even remember what it was, but it was delicious always. And then in the left-hand side on the bottom there, that is their like national beer in Indonesia. Bintang, delicious. I'm not a beer drinker, but they had like an orange and a grapefruit like radler version of them, and they were so refreshing on a hot day at the beach. So they were delicious. And so when you walk down the streets of Bali, like every morning, they'll have these little offerings outside on their like steps or in their yards. And they put them out with incense and little pieces of like rice or fruit and beautiful flowers. And they are made out of banana leaves, I think. And it's just to offer to their gods and people who have passed. So nice little gestures, and they're just out everywhere, so you have to watch your step when you're walking, or else you'll step on them.
They're quite beautiful.
Yeah. That was a very cool thing to see all the time too. So the next slide here, just some pictures of different temples and things that we saw all on our walks, just because everything there just has beautiful architecture, and there's always stuff to look at. And I think this was on our walk up to like a hike that we did that is coming up in the next slide. And you can see just on the right, everyone rides little motorbikes there all the time. We didn't. Yeah, except us. We intended to, but then you see people with like road burn and broken legs, and it just not for us.
Not a good place to learn how to ride a moped.
No, the traffic there is very different. People, they use honking as like a form of echolocation. Like it's not to be rude. It's just like, hey, I'm coming up on your left, honk honk. And then just another kind of like, this is a lot of the back alleys or kind of roadways in between houses. So you can see like the big walls of their like family compounds. And then you go inside and they're just huge properties with houses and beautiful yards and like little kind of statues of gods and things. Yeah, very cool.
They each have a temple in there.
They do.
They do. So
yeah. So they go in
their offerings.
At the temple. And you'd think at like nighttime, walking down like back alleys and things, it would be scary, but I've never felt safer anywhere else. Like everyone was so kind and so sweet the whole time. Never had a bad experience. And so this was when in that other photo, when we were walking and saw the temples, we were walking to this hike called the Ridge Walk.
Yeah, we left early in the morning because I think the sun was almost coming up. It was dark when we left. We walked everywhere.
We did walk everywhere.
That's why we got to eat so much.
Yeah.
We walked it all off.
And it would also get so hot so quick. So you kind of have to go out in the mornings and do your morning things if you want to get out and go for a walk. And then you have to kind of come back before it gets super hot. And then it usually pours rain for an hour or two. And then you go out in the evening again. So it was a good little routine that we had. And then this is up on the Ridge Walk, with the sun coming up there. So peaceful and quiet. You can just hear like little crickets and things. Yeah, that was a really nice. It was a fairly easy hike. Like there wasn't a bunch of switchbacks. It just gets steep for a bit, but then you get up here and it's just an amazing view.
It's kind of like our bike trails. A lot of people when we're coming back were jogging along it.
Yeah,
so,
it was a busy place.
But we happened to hit it when it was nice and quiet.
Yeah. And then this is up past the Ridge Walk. This is probably my favorite picture I've ever taken. I did have it framed, and then I gave it to you for Christmas, I think, maybe one year, or your birthday. But yeah, it's a very nice picture. And then so these are some rice paddies. After the Ridge Walk, and little houses. And in the one video, there was like an old abandoned house just out in the middle of nowhere. So it's just a lot of cool stuff to see.
So green.
So the next thing we did in Ubud was we went on a bike tour. That was also through Airbnb. They have like, you can rent houses, but then you can also have, they call them experiences. Yeah. So yeah, different bike tours and things. And this one we went on, it was so amazing.
Biking with Nyoman, I think.
Nyoman, yeah.
Yeah.
He was our guide, and he grew up in the area in Ubud. So he was so familiar and so knowledgeable with everything. And so kind and so sweet. And they did have a little like van following us behind if you had to like take a break or you got too tired, whatnot, if you had an accident, who knows. But yeah, so one of our first trips that we went to was to a school in Ubud. So these are the school kids in their little uniforms on their lunch break, and they showed us around the schoolhouse that they have there, and we're in their little courtyard, and they just have, like, they use the bottles to make little flower pots and things. It was just very cool.
And he went to that school.
He did.
So it was very dear to his heart. So
yeah. Oh yeah, all the kids came running up to him.
He donates a certain percentage of his what he makes for his tours too to towards the school.
Yeah, very cool. And the next one, so also on the bike tour, we went to go see a priest, or he was a former elder priest. Yeah, so that's him over there on the right, and he's talking to us about they look like little rulers, but it's an ancient calendar that they use. And so he was explaining it to us about him, or explaining it to us. And then on the second photo there on the left, that's their property. So you can kind of see the different temples that they have and the buildings, and
multiple families live there.
Yeah. And then the one on the left, right on the left, that is an ancient temple too, not of the priests, but just somewhere else that we biked by, and they kind of explained that to us. And you're not allowed to go in. They have a little fence, so you can't go in just because it is so old.
And it poured. That's why we were inside chatting with him, which was nice, because I think normally you don't get a chance to.
No, it started pouring rain,
Yeah,
so we had
so
to stay with the elder. It was quite interesting. Yeah, so another angle of that other ancient temple, that was our tour guide, and he was explaining everything to us. I think at this point he was kind of explaining that in Balinese culture, like traditionally, if someone passes, they are all buried, but then they dig them back up and they cremate them all once per year. So that was kind of a traditional way. And then this was just the view from the other side, just a little road and little buildings and crazy trees. Just interesting to see.
It was a good way to see the countryside. Like I mean, we did our share of, a few taxis and drivers, but this was really nice to see the back roads.
Yeah, absolutely. And the hills, there's just like rolling hills of Ubud, and yeah, it's a great time. Then we also went to a coffee roaster.
That was a bike tour, right?
Yes, yeah, on the bike tour. Because Bali is famous for luwak coffee, which is those little luwak animals who eat the coffee beans and then poop them out, and then they roast the poop to get the coffee back out.
Yeah.
And it's expensive coffee. But you can see the cocoa beans and the coffee beans. Then we had a little coffee and tea tasting too. And nice. In Bali, like if you ever go and get a coffee, just be warned that they leave the grounds in the coffee. They don't strain it. So when you're taking your last sip and you're really excited, don't be.
Not get to the last drop.
Because it's just grounds. But it's delicious. It's really good coffee. And then this is still in Ubud. So this is a meal that we had because we had to include all the different food.
What was it called? Siam Sally?
This restaurant was Siam Sally, and they had live music performing. Yeah, and it was always really good. It was a good place to go to. And you kind of have to go down this little walkway through the trees to this place called the Yoga Barn, which is like world famous. I think a lot of yoga people go there to train and learn and all that kind of thing, but did some yoga classes, and then we also did like a drum meditation. It was very cool.
With a shaman?
With a shaman, yes. Yeah, it was, and that was at nighttime too, so it was an experience for sure.
Thank you. Oh yeah.
So after we left Ubud, we decided to go to Gili Island. So there's Bali, and then to the east of Bali, there's another bigger island called Lombok, and kind of in between off of Lombok, there's 3 little islands. The biggest one is Gili Trawangan, and then there's Gili Air and Gili Nino, and then they're all get smaller by order. And Gili is kind of like the resort island. More touristy. It's tiny. There's no cars. It's only bikes or horses on that island to get around. So you have to take a little fast boat to get over there, and that was quite the experience.
See him throwing off our luggage?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they throw it off.
Yeah, and you just hope someone catches it off of there.
And then you find your luggage.
Yeah, and then they just throw it on the sand. And they say, "Here you go, find your luggage."
And that's why we travel with just that.
Yes. Yeah. So we went on Gili speedboats. And it was like a 40 minute an hour ride. It wasn't too long. Yep. They played movies. I think they played like a Thor movie or something. It was good. So here are 2 modes of transportation. A horse to get from our, the port to our place, because I think the port is on the east side of the island, but our place was kind of more up north, so we took a little horse. And this was the only place that we actually stayed in like a resort. But even then, I think it was the most expensive place we stayed at too, and even then it was not like so.
La Coqueterie?
Yes, La Coqueterie. It's owned.
Yeah, by Natalie.
Yes, and she's from France, I think, but she was there when we were there, and she was super lovely too. Yeah, so these are the little bikes at our resort.
They call it an eco lodge because they were having an initiative because it is an island. There's really no recycling.
Yeah.
So they were trying to clean the beaches, and so that's why she's very
Eco-conscious. And
yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice place to stay. And these are just some photos from the little resort. So that's on the left, there's the pool, and then the kind of like barn looking cover that's like their, yeah, those are your feet, sorry. That's like where they would have like breakfast, because breakfast was served. You could choose what you wanted every morning. So you can sit in there, and they had a little restaurant. That's Coco, the resident cat, just lounging by the pool on a little couch. And then that's just some artwork that they had inside their little main area. You can kind of see it in the other one too, but
really nice place.
Very nice place. And it was glamping. So this was our room. It was like a tent, but you could zip it all up, and it did have AC if you wanted it to. But we had our bed, beautiful bed, and then the bathroom was kind of in the back half there. You can kind of see it on the right. A few steps down, and then there's the sink, shower, open shower on one side, open toilet on the other side. So it's definitely like a one at a time person bathroom. Yeah, it was beautiful. Our little water container there, because
yes, you can't drink
the water. It
maybe
has to be
water.
filtered.
Yes. So we were concerned with that because we weren't sure about the water situation. So we actually found these life straws that I ordered, and they're amazing. So you can actually it's like a little straw, and you can actually drink out of like ponds and dirty water too, and it filters the water and totally safe. And during our first few stops, it helped because they didn't offer like water like that, like most places do. So we were,
you have to be very careful.
We didn't want to get sick on our trip, and we were fortunate. We were just fine. So so these life straws, I highly recommend it.
I think that's what they call it, like Bali belly or something, because that's the thing too, you can't really eat any fruit that you can't peel, because if you have to wash it, you have to use like filtered water to wash them. So this was our room there. And this was some of the food that we had on the island. So top left, some kebabs, because a guy just had like a big cart full of different kebabs. You could choose what meat you wanted on them, which side. So some different fish and meat like that. On the bottom left, that is like, I think what we had the most of, the most traditional. It's called nasi goreng, and it's like fried rice, delicious fried rice with a fried egg on top. And then in the middle, I think that might have been one of our breakfasts, just some yogurt and granola, and the fresh fruit. It just makes all the difference. And they would always have like fresh squeezed like juices and things that you could order. They were always really good. And then on the right, just like another traditional like noodle dish with a rolled kind of omelet on top. Very good.
What was it? The passion fruit? Oh, what was it?
The dragon fruit. Dragon fruit is a huge thing there.
Yeah.
Ours we get here, it's usually like white, like pink on the outside, white in the middle, but theirs is purple, and it's delicious. So some more pictures from the island there. So yeah, their whole thing is Save Gili Islands, and that is a big thing. Like especially in a lot of the more like impoverished areas, the beaches, it's really sad. There is like a lot of garbage that washes up constantly.
Can I tell my little story? So we were on, I don't remember which beach, but I thought, Sage, look at these little, like, I don't know, little plants growing out of the sand, because they were beautiful, different colors and kind of frayed at the top, like all flowery. And I looked closer, and they were actually all straws sticking up out of the water, and they were all frayed, and it was just straws everywhere. So it was quite sad. So a lot of beaches you could actually sit on.
No, a lot of the resorts who are like beachfront, they have people that go out every morning, early morning, to like clean up the beach, so then they're clean for the next day. So that is something to know. But have some pretty lights in the trees, some outdoor dining, and then just some nice shells and things. Strong.
And we took our own water bottles with us. We kind of think leave it as good or better than we found it, so we didn't use bottled water, because that's all you could buy.
That's all you could buy. Also, they'd always have not even bottles, they'd be like little cups with almost plastic seals on them that would come with a plastic straw, and you just poke it in the top. Like that's what they would drink all the time, because they can't drink their own water, so it's a catch-22. Oops, I missed the turtle. So this was you could snorkel off the coast of Gili, and there would just be sea turtles everywhere. So here's, I had a GoPro, so it was on a longer stick, so I'm not too close. But but yeah, it was so cool. And they'd have people with little like shacks on the beach where you could just rent like snorkels and little flippers for the day and just sit on the beach the whole day, and they'd point out and say, oh, there's a turtle over there.
You
So
can see the shadow under the water.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So made some little turtle friends.
Good.
And then the next slide, so that is Mount Agung, the volcano on the main Bali island, and we were there kind of when it was a little active, and then by the time we left, I think after we left it had erupted. But so you could see it, like beautiful sunsets all the time off the west coast of Gili.
It looks like now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was beautiful, and the sun would always set, and you can kind of see on the right side there's a little swing that someone's sitting on, so when the tide's out you can run up and swing on it, and then when the tide's in you can go still sit on it.
Hold on.
Yeah, nice little view. Beautiful sunsets, and they'd have like little bean bags and things on the beach. You could just order a drink or dinner and sit and watch the sunset. And so after we left, got back on a little fast boat, and then we went up north to Lovina, which I think is known for like dolphin seeing. You can go on dolphin tours. We didn't, but you can. And this was the first time I think we had like fresh vegetables in probably like 3 weeks.
You were so excited.
I was so excited for the salad because, again, anything you have to wash, if you can't peel it, you have to wash it with like filtered water or bottled water. And they said on their menu, like everything here is washed with like reverse osmosis water. And like, if you don't believe them, it's hard to know, but we were lucky we didn't get sick. And I think about that salad all the time. Such a good salad. And then some little samosas that were so delicious too. And it was just the cutest little place. Like in the middle there, you can see the little seating, and then like you're right outside, but it doesn't matter because it's always beautiful weather. So this is Lovina. So that's their little dock with their big sign there, kind of zoomed in, and then another just kind of like walkway out to the ocean there. Pretty views.
It's all lit up at night.
Yeah. We should have got a picture at nighttime, but yeah, it's a nice little view. And then this is like kind of a typical street that you would see with like the high sidewalks on the side, and you can see little dolphins in them. This is still in Lovina, and then on the right there, just some of the architecture. Like that's just on the street, and you just walk through it. It's just so interesting. It's very cool. And so this is where we stayed in Lovina, another Airbnb, and they had, I think that might have been his
safety first.
Yeah, safety first. I think that was his nephew.
Yes,
the owner's nephew.
Husband and wife owned the property.
And then he was their gardener, so that's him doing some good work. And then on the side here, the frangipani. Those are a really common flower there, and they smell amazing, and they're super pretty. So the where we stayed here, the owners, they were quite well off, and so they had a housekeeper and like a maid, and she was the one who would always cook for us and things when we were there, but she didn't speak English. We didn't speak Balinese, so but you make it work, and she was super sweet.
That's what we liked, because when you stay at the Airbnbs, I mean, we stayed in a hotel too at the end, but you get to meet the locals, and they can recommend, he actually had like a tour company too. So you just get to know more about their lifestyle and interact with them as much as you want. I mean, if you need help with something, at one point we needed a phone home, but they're very helpful.
They are. And I think when we stayed in Ubud, the like mother of the household, she was so nice. And I think I remember they have their locals market that they go to at like 5 in the morning, and then when the tourists come,
tourists come after. The cheaper prices are
in the morning. So she offered, she's like, well, if you want to come with in the morning, like you can come get your fruit with me, and I'll make sure you get a good deal. And they're so nice. Beautiful flowers. And so this was a restaurant that we ate at in Lovina. So up north in Bali is where more of the poverty is. So school is free for kids to attend, but you have to pay for the uniforms. And a lot of the times kids can't go to school because their families can't afford the uniforms. So this restaurant, like all of their proceeds and things go to helping kids be able to go to school, or disabled
Mhm.
kids to be able to go to school. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And the food was amazing.
Amazing.
They're a very good place. Oops. And some of the food, I had, of course, 2 desserts. I think I had the one on the left, the affogato. So it's just ice cream with espresso, but gotta love that. That looks like a brownie with some ice cream. And then I think we had like some sort of stew or soup with rice. And they always serve the rice, like they'll put it in a bowl and then put it out, and it always looks so cute. But yeah, delicious, and a good foundation too. So. And so this is after we stayed in Lovina, we came back down south on the eastern coast to a place called Sonor, which is a lot more resorty. And that's the thing is, you're like, oh, I'm on the coast, I'll just go to the beach, but all of the beaches are owned by resorts. So
Yeah,
there's
you
just not like a
can't.
public beach that you can go
You can't
to.
just park your towel anywhere.
No.
No.
And we just stayed in a little place. We didn't stay here very long, only because you had to like come and rent a towel and then a chair at a resort if you wanted to for the day. And we were kind of far from the beach, so it just didn't work out too well for us. But when we were here, this was a hotel, and you can walk like through their property, but if you want to sit, then you rent a towel for the day. And then you can have a chair, you can use their pool and their changing rooms and stuff, go to the restaurant. So we did that for the day, and it was really nice.
Nice.
And it wasn't even too, nothing there is too expensive usually, so it was worth it for the price. And then that's one of their little restaurants there just by the bar, little swinging chairs. Everything is just always so cool looking. And then some food that we had at the restaurant, some little lattes, because I think this was breakfast time. So it's like an egg sandwich, and then the one on the left there, I remember it being like a hash brown with other stuff like on the sandwich with like avocado and things. I think it was super good.
Delicious.
Yeah. And again, more greens, so we didn't get sick. And just some views from the beach. So the walkway that you can keep walking past the resort on, and then it just takes you down, and then you just get to see all the waterfront resorts, and some of them are very, very fancy. So it's interesting to see all the different ones. Some nice beach pictures, some nice bean bags to take a seat on. Just some more pictures of the beach. So that's Angelique, the sacred cow, head meditator.
Yeah, it was another yoga studio.
And some chess. Some nice pictures of the beach and trees. Then these are just kind of some pictures of, again, like kind of the back alleys. You can see just how tall some of these families' like walls are, which almost makes you feel like they don't want anyone in, but everyone is so welcoming. So
I was fascinated by the doors. I know I took a lot of pictures of doors because these are all, I don't know, they're all
the
so
entrances
unique.
to the homes and things. Yeah. Big gates, and it's all very grand looking. And then after we left Sonor, we popped over to the other side of like the bottom tip of Bali, just because it was closest to the airport. So we were here for a few days, and we stayed in a little hotel in Kuta Beach. Yeah, Kuta Beach. So we were in Sonor, and then this is Kuta Beach. And our hotel, it was so cute. It was just this little like black and white themed hotel. It was very, I don't know, it was odd, but it was very cute. And they had a pool up on the roof, which seemed,
some good views.
Yeah, it had some good views. But so this is on the left here at a mall. So their mall was like 4 stories tall, and then in the basement they had all their restaurants, and it was just like, it's very modern. Like this is it's like this is like a big city. And then on the outside they have like seating and lights, and then that little pavilion where they would have like traditional performers come. And they did like firework, like fire breathing and big costumes and things. It was pretty interesting.
It was interesting.
And just at the mall, And then on the right, I think that might be the best meal I've ever had, but they're steam buns with different fillings, and they were so tasty. Very good.
Mall food.
Mall food, yeah, mall food. And then
are we going home?
this was on our way back. On our way back to Seoul, we had a bit of a longer layover, so we actually got to spend time walking around the airport and not just running from like one end to the other. But in the like a lot of the times in different airports, you kind of have to pay more for like the lounges and you know to get nice things. Here they just have like the layover lounge that anyone can go into, and it's just like a bunch of sleeping pods. They had these what I'm laying on there. You can see my socked feet. They're just like nice little kind of ergonomic little like couches. And they also have like shower rooms where you can go and use, and if you need to, you can rent a towel for like a few dollars, or if you have your own, you can just use it. Just everything was so spotless and so clean. And yeah, had a little, I think we got like the blossoming rose latte and sitting by some orchids, and they had basically a shopping mall in this airport too. And not just like how some airports do, like they had like Gucci stores and like high end, like as you're walking with your little carry-on bag and like like a 10-year-old pair of shoes. And just you can see like truly how high the ceilings are, and kind of below there's another level too. And yeah, I could live in this airport. It was a very nice place. And yeah, and that was on the way home, and then we had a great flight. I think the Seattle to Seoul flight was the longest. I think that one was about 12 hours. But really good food on the South Korean airline, really good food. And so the next few slides are just, odds and ends of ones I, wanted to add, but a lot of food are in these ones. So like a nice omelet and just the fresh fruit. You can see like the bright colored dragon fruit. And then
that was our one stay, wasn't it? And they would ask us what we wanted each night, what you wanted for breakfast, and they bring it up to you. So that was all included with our stay with Airbnb.
Yeah.
So
most places they would do that, where they had a little
breakfast
menu of what you could have for breakfast, and you just like send them a text or a WhatsApp, and then they bring breakfast up to you. And then a fresh coconut, those were always the best there too. And then just some of the different flowers that we saw along the way. They have a lot of orchids there. And then this was a really nice like lily pond.
Yeah, those on the bike tour.
On the end of our bike tour, we stopped at a little restaurant for like a lunch, and that was out the back. It was beautiful. And then, of course, some more food on the left. That's a mangosteen, a type of fruit. So it looks really weird from the outside, like doesn't look very good. But then you open it up, and
we
it's
hit
just like
the season because there's only a certain time of year, and they're delicious.
Yeah,
so I've never had one before.
And then like a little banana crepe pancake with the fruit, and then that was a dragon fruit like smoothie bowl that I got, and it looks very pretty, and it tastes very good too. So some more food. I think the one on the left is when we were in Lovina. We were just walking around, and there was like a world famous chicken shack, like rotisserie, I don't know. So we stopped, and so we had like a little cookout. They had like traditional coleslaw and like potato salad. It was kind of weird, but it was really good. Yeah. And then I think this one was from that restaurant that we went to in Sonora, at that really nice restaurant, and a nice little smoothie and some, I think it was a poached egg and like one of those little hash brown things.
We found a buffet one time too. It was
the vegan buffet.
Vegan buffet. So really
food for everyone. Yeah. And then this is a picture of all the motorbikes at like the market. I don't know how you don't lose them, but they're crazy with those things. They drive them everywhere, and they'll have like their kid in the front, a kid on the back, mom behind, and they go so quick. And then this is where we stayed in Ubud again. We were kind of on an upper level, and that was one of their family members putting out some offerings in the morning, and they say little prayers. And then just some stone faces that were in the walls there. And then of course some monkey signs and guidelines, because they're everywhere. Especially in Ubud, there's like the monkey forest where you can go, and there's monkeys everywhere. So you don't look at the monkeys, you don't touch the monkeys, you don't feed the monkeys.
It's just down the street though too.
And then the monkey crossing. You gotta look everywhere. They're very cute, but the babies will come up to you, but the moms don't. And then just some little like statues that we saw around, and then a blurry picture of
That was from the driving.
Ganesha
I wanted to find a
bookshop.
bookstore. I needed a book to read, and I couldn't find any, so we tracked this place down, and I went inside, and it's the cutest little bookstore. So we really didn't shop a lot or bring a lot home because we only had our carry-on. So I brought a bookmark home from that little shop, and they have a project called It's Books for Bali project. It's the Ganesha Bali bookstore, and they donate books to school-age children or even high school students. So I was looking on their website, and you can donate, and they will take them books, and they look for different books for different age groups. So even dictionaries for the high school kids and everything. So good project, because things are expensive there for the locals, and they really, education is important in the reading. So yeah, I thought that was really neat.
And we got some books to read by the beach. And then the last picture is just us on the ridge walk.
Yeah.
And that was the end.
That was the end of our journey.
A little selfie. We didn't take many.
No,
because I was like, oh, I don't want to be one of those people. But it's nice to have some photos.
Yeah.
And that was our trip to Bali.
Wow, that was amazing. Your pictures are beautiful, and your presentation is lovely, the way you've arranged them in groups and everything. That's very professional looking for both of you. So right away, I want to know why this trip for mom and daughter together.
Oh, I think that was you.
that was me.
Yeah.
That was sort of, I was in a, bucket list phase where I thought, you know what? There's some things I wanted to do and go, and I thought, who better to travel with? And that's a trip, that's a long trip. So if you're going to go, you have to take some time. And if you're going to go that far, explore a little bit. So we sort of had a plan where we wanted to go. The island isn't that big, but it takes a long time to travel because of the terrain. So you think you could just go straight across the island, but
there's like
that one trip we took, we hired a driver to get from southern to northern.
Oh
Bali,
yeah, when we came back from like the Gili Island, we took a taxi cab like up north to Lovina, and I think that was the craziest ride I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Like just the turns and the people on the road, but he was going like 120 the whole time. So it was a trip I wanted to take, and was fortunate enough to get that time off, and you were too, and we thought, let's do this. Might as well. And we travel well together, so we
So
do all
you
right.
have traveled before together, probably.
Yes, yeah, like little trips here and there, but that was our biggest one that we've gone on yet. So.
And this was in 2017, right? That was the year of the volcano.
2018 is when we went. Yeah. So coming up on 3 years.
Crazy.
And who actually did the booking? Like you did it all together, or?
That was you.
I think I kind of looked at places on Airbnb, and then we kind of.
We had like talked about going before, and then I think it was my birthday the year before that she surprised me with like the actual like tickets that were booked to fly there. And then we kind of looked at places together, and I think we only had the 2 first Airbnbs booked, just so we knew kind of like where we would start and end up. But then like the last few, we just like looked around, and then we decided, oh, we don't really like this place, like it's kind of far from the beach, or you can't really do much here. So we just stayed for like 2 nights and then moved on to found a new place and moved on. So it was really nice to be able to do that, and then not really have like a commitment to stay somewhere longer than you wanted to. So.
And what month of the year was it that you were there?
We went mid-March to like mid-April.
And would you recommend that time of year, like that?
I would, yeah. I think is it technically their off season?
I think so.
Yeah. So it does rain, I think, a bit more, but I mean, the mornings were beautiful, and then it would rain for about an hour or two, like around lunchtime, and then no rain for the rest of the day. And I think when we were on Gili Island, it didn't rain like at all there. So it was just beautiful weather, like mid-30s usually all the time, very high humidity. So, yeah.
And so transportation, you have talked a bit about that, and there was some challenges there. It was exciting.
There was actually a bus that we looked at taking for that long journey up north. Looked like good mode of transportation, but I think it was going to take a little bit longer than what we wanted to spend traveling on a bus. And we thought, you can hire a driver too, and they're more than happy to drive you wherever you want to go, and then you get a bit of the local history as well. So yeah.
And your accommodations really looked amazing. You did a good
They
job
were
of
really good.
Yeah.
We did,
Yeah.
because you don't know by a picture and you go by the comments, so we were quite
Yeah,
fortunate.
by the reviews and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were all like, all the hosts were so nice and
Mhm.
very welcoming and being like, oh, well, if you need anything, just let us know and we can take you wherever you want to go. And a lot of the times they would know people who could drive you or recommend people. So
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Because you're
yeah, because there
a
are
lot of
taxis,
trust.
but then there are also like private drivers that you can hire
Mhm.
too. So yeah, it's pretty
So what's
interesting.
the best beach of, like, because you hear so much about the beaches, and you talked about the how some of them were, like, so many of them are private.
Yeah, I think one of the best ones was when we went to Gili T.
Mhm.
You can also take like a little speedboat from Gili T onto Gili Air, which is like the second smallest little island because there's 3 of them in a row. And that like it's much smaller. Tourists still go on it, but most of them stay on Gili Island. But those are like the white sand beaches
Right.
and very, very
Not
nice.
touristy,
No.
really. So
You just kind of, it's more of like a day trip.
it's almost like you have your own island to yourself, your
Yeah.
own beach.
Yeah. It was really,
Yeah.
that was probably the best because then they're quiet and
Yeah.
very beautiful.
That's hard to argue with. And it's great. You had no health issues at all, right? That's
No, and
We were prepared.
we were very
took
prepared.
everything.
We
Well, we
got-
did get our immunizations.
Yeah.
We did that, and
we took like
Everything
we got a prescription for, if you have tummy troubles, we
Mhm.
have that. And I always have really bad air sickness when I fly.
Horrible.
So I had to go to my doctor and said, like, what can you do for me? Because I'm going to be on a flight for like total like 22 hours. So I got like a nice little pill that I could take and best flights I've ever had, just so I wasn't like sick. So
did you sleep?
I did, yeah. And I don't think they were necessarily drowsy, but I definitely slept for I think most of the flights. So they were good.
It's 22 hours. You do want to sleep a little bit. How about you, Kelly? Did you sleep too?
I think I tried.
Yeah.
I read a lot. Yeah.
A lot of reading.
A lot of reading.
Yeah.
A lot of dozing.
A lot of movies,
And thank you for all the food pictures. Gosh.
Yes. Oh yeah.
There were a lot.
There were a lot. I had to make sure, you gotta put the food in there. That's what people care about. So
Each one is like a work of art, right?
yeah, they were.
Quite the broad range too.
Oh yeah, they had everything there.
So was a month long enough or too long, or?
I think we were probably running out of money before we ran out of
Yeah.
places
so.
to go.
I think it would have been cool to stay for longer, but I think a month was a good amount of time.
I think so. Yeah.
Just because like including travel in there, like it's about a week of travel, like there and then also back, like a few days. So, and then when you get over the jet lag and all that, I think a month is a good amount of time. Yeah. It'd be nice to go forever, but you do what you can. So.
And you addressed the safety issues too. You really didn't have any problems at all. Right?
No.
So it's a Hindu majority country or island, right? In
Yes.
province.
Yeah. When we were on our little bike tour, there was like 2 girls probably in their 20s who were also on it, and they were telling us a story about how they had rented like the little motorbikes, and they broke down, like ran out of gas on the side of the road the one day, and just a local driving a little truck like stopped over and was like, oh, get in, took them, put their bikes in the back of his truck, put them in, and then drove them to like the nearest gas station. So just stories like that. And yeah, everyone was so nice and yeah, never was a concern.
They're very friendly people. They are. Yes, they're very.
Yeah.
So you talked about that special coffee that goes through the civet or whatever. Did you try it?
Yes. Yeah, and we also, I think that's the one thing that we actually did buy. We bought like a little bag of the coffee and to bring home, and yeah, it's good coffee. I don't know if it's
though. Is it as great as it's?
I like coffee. Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but you do have to mind like the bottom. When you think you're taking like your last good sip, you can't because it's just all grounds. But it is good coffee, and
it was neat to see how like the tour with the coffee,
they showed us like the beans on the trees, and then
how they grow
the little animals who eat them, and yeah, it was very interesting.
And the life straw was a find. But so I could see how you would use it to drink out of it, but is there a way to filter water into your water container then?
Not necessarily. We had mainly our water bottles that we were drinking out of, they were kind of like the big mouthed
wide mouth?
ones. So we would just kind of put our water in there, the one
Yeah.
like the safe
So-
water to drink, but we would just always put this in there too, and then
On top.
drink out of it.
Drink
So
out
you
of
Kind of
that.
shake it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then to clean it out, you just blow into it. So
Mhm.
it's got the filter in there.
So there's not a filter to change or anything.
There isn't a filter to change in these, no.
I think they
They're
say
good for
there's
so many
like
sips, I think.
there's like however many thousands of liters it can go through before you have to like get a new one.
But I think they
Oh.
have other probably filters out now too. And I
Mhm.
think for, well, other countries that don't have clean drinking water, I think they have bigger
Bigger
systems like that.
versions, yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a good find.
It was definitely beneficial.
It
I
was a
think.
little strange though, thinking, is it going to work?
Yeah.
Is it really going to work?
And it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess you have to trust it, right?
Yep.
So you mentioned 2 souvenirs then. Any other souvenirs?
Well, I'm
Oh.
wearing my Bali jacket, they call it, on those cold Bali nights. So I thought I'd put that on here for our cold winter day.
Yeah.
But no, and then
Is
just
that a
Bali-
batik? Is that batik or?
Maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Little,
It's got little fringes. So yeah.
and then those kind of like pants
The
that
flowing
are
pants.
the flowy pants, kind of like
Colorful
yoga pants,
colors.
that type of thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's about it. We weren't sure
Mhm.
like what we could bring back just with our, only having carry-ons and things
Mhm.
like that. But I think most of the stuff, a lot of the good stuff that we bought, we just ate and then didn't have to bring it home. So yeah, the pictures.
Yeah. So your pictures are awesome. Wonderful memory. Yeah. So would you do it again?
But now that you've been once, you kind of know, like maybe you'd kind of like to look a little further, different areas or spend more time somewhere.
Yeah, I would do
Um,
it again.
Yeah, we'll do it
Yep,
again.
it was
Or there's
beautiful.
another country you're thinking of next and COVID ever ends?
I know.
Well,
We've been dreaming.
yeah,
I know. you
like
get-
even last year we were talking, we're like, oh, okay, maybe the next place we want to go is like Italy, like Rome, like hit maybe a bit of Europe, and then everything happened. We're like, maybe I guess we have to
Yeah, we'll
hold
wait.
off on that. But yeah, that would be really nice. It would be nice to go back to Bali and then even go on to like Lombok, the one next to it,
Mhm.
just to explore like a bit more of the Indonesian islands and stuff. I think that would be kind of cool because the weather is beautiful. Like you can't go wrong. So
And then there's Java too on the other side. I haven't been, but I've heard people talk about going there
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
it'd be pretty cool.
But it's a
Just-
big commitment to get there, right? The 22
Yes.
hours. So.
It
Yeah.
is.
Well, and that's the thing too. Once you're there, you're so close to Australia. You can just like
know.
hop on a flight and get down to Australia. So next time that would be cool too.
Yeah.
If there is a next time, you never know. But in a perfect world.
Hopefully, yes. Well, this has been delightful. I really appreciate you taking us along, sharing your stories. And,
course.
Thank you.
It was fun to reminisce and go through the
It
pictures
was
and everything.
fun.
Yeah, because I
It
haven't
was
done it
fun.
in quite a
No.
while.
So
So
thank you.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much. So I just want to mention that next month in March, we're going back to India Part 2. In December, Brenda and Jerry took us to Northern India, and they have so many pictures that they can do another whole one on Southern India. So we're going to
Cool.
take advantage of that. So that's where we'll be going in March. And who knows what the weather will be like then.
Yeah, never know.
Thank you both
Very
again.
cool.
And we'll see you all next time in Travel Memories.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.